Anyway, wow. Kuwesa, you okay in the studio? Kuwesa?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I hope she's okay. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, good morning, folks. It's the Power Hour. If you're walking by Word Studio this morning, look up in the window. Make sure the lights are on. I mean, something's happening because we're on Facebook Live this morning. We're on YouTube Live. We're on 900 AM and 96.1 FM. We are on the app. So something good is happening in spite of. Sitting across from me this morning is none other than Boston's finest by way of Philly and back. I don't know why that.
I don't know why you do that. I've spent a total of 3 years in Massachusetts. That's about it. But
Listen, trust me on this one, okay? When you're people, there's an old expression, that a foreign stone is better than a domestic jewel.
mm,
People
so,
like things that are foreign.
yeah, like things that are foreign.
Yeah,
Okay.
go with it, bro. Trust me, I'm trying to help you.
All right, you're gonna help me out. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
man. It's like Boston's own, but he left and went to Boston, but he didn't like the clam chowder. He didn't like Dunkin'. It tasted different there. Maybe it's the way it was pronounced. After 3 years, he was done. He came back to Philly, to the cheesesteak capital of the world. Water ice. I'm sorry, not water ice, and all of that. Bishop Dwayne David Rice.
And sitting across from me is the one that Oakland loves so much that they send him here and everywhere. And now he's still here talking about Oakland all the time. The Reverend
I,
Dr. Mark Kelly Tyler.
I rep my city.
Yes, you do. I
See,
was on a call yesterday. Somebody was talking about the fact that I was from Philly, even though I was on meetings in D.C. And I said, anybody that is from D.C. will know that I have a conversation with in 5 minutes. You will know that I'm from Philadelphia because I will make it very clear that I'm from Philly.
hey, look, I mean, you got to rep your city, where you're from. And people from I think what I love about Philly so much is that Philly is a lot like Oakland in so many ways. They just don't look alike.
Right.
But I mean, like, for example, if you want to know, if the Raiders or the Eagles won, you don't need to consult Sports Center. Just walk outside and look at the body language of the city.
hmm
And if people are walking around looking like, somebody died, your team lost. If people are out there just like smiling, washing their cars, driving around like they don't have a care in the world, they all hit the lotto, your team won. A lot of cities aren't that way. And so, and I love Philly because you can't tell Philly folk nothing. So yeah, so I'm
My,
half Philadelphian.
my brother Stone is like that, right? You
Yeah.
can't. His name's Damon, but Stone's his motorcycle moniker. And after the Eagles lose, you can't talk to him. It takes a couple of days before you can actually have a conversation with him because
Oh, bro.
he's in a foul mood.
Look, I grew up, like I said, I grew up for the most part, raised by my mother. And so the one thing that we would always do was watch Monday Night Football together. I mean, she's a big Raider fan. I mean, oh my God, man. My mom is, what, 87 right now? 87, 88. And I mean, and so to this day, if the Raiders don't lose, we used to have this thing we call like each other on a Sunday after the game. If they don't lose, man, we can't talk to each other that day.
Mhm.
It's just like, no, it's too painful. It's too painful. Even though they're in Vegas, yes, I know that they're no longer the Oakland Raiders, but it's all good. So Kuwesa is holding it down to get today. We think we're having some audio problems in the studio, but Kuwesa, you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Great.
she's there, but
Okay.
she's not there. So sorry,
Oh
folks, you don't get
no.
weather and traffic from Kuwesa today.
Oh, that's
Yes.
not good.
Stone sent a text to us that said amen. I don't know if you saw it or not, but just what to
I
the
saw
Eagles.
it. Stone is on the set this morning.
Yeah.
What's
For some reason, my siblings, because my beautiful, attractive, smart sister, my single smart sister, was sending us text yesterday about my comments yesterday on the thing. She was sending to both Mark and I late last night while
See,
we're
I'm
trying
gonna
to go to sleep.
let me tell you. So I don't try to set people up anymore. You know why? Because people like hold you. People will sue you these days.
Absolutely.
People are litigious. So
Mhm.
it'd be just our luck. You'd be some crazy person. The next thing you know, your sister's like suing the two of us, and we can't do the power hour anymore.
That's right. That's
So
right.
no, I will not weigh in this morning. Hey, check this out. Today is Pound Cake Day.
Oh, okay. I like
Yeah,
that.
today is Pound Cake Day. So I don't think Leslie is listening yet, but I hope that she's going to get this text from me that I hope I get a pound cake. She learned my mother's recipe,
Mhm.
and I love pound cake. And speaking of food, before we get into all the serious issues, because there's a lot to talk about, definitely want to talk about the testimony yesterday by General, is it Major General Walker?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who's the head of the DC National Guard?
yeah. So definitely want to talk about that. And but bro, they pulled the legend John P. Key in on the great
Oh, I saw.
African American debate. And I don't think it's fair because he's going to use his musical abilities to try to sell his side of the story about grits. And I
Mhm.
mean, I feel if he's going to do that, I'm going to have to do a sermon because he's it's not fair when John P. Key starts singing about grits. That just ain't right. And I want to say for the record, now, I just got to say for the record, I know this is going to start a family fight. And again, we're going to talk about the serious news in a moment, but this is also serious. Now, if you're going to eat grits, it is absolutely permissible to use sugar.
No, no sugar. John P. Key said, if you want to use sugar, get yourself some cream of wheat. You
Like
do not put sugar in grits.
I
Salt
can
and pepper,
eat.
baby. Salt and pepper,
No,
baby. No hot sauce.
no, I don't do that. But I can eat it without sugar. But I'm just telling you, it is absolutely permissible. Yes, and it's good. Have you ever had sugar on your grits?
No.
Then okay, then you see. This is my point. The people who are making the biggest issue about this have never even tried it.
Uh-uh.
How can you sit there and you are emphatic about no,
Have you
but
ever
you
had
never
salt
had
and
it?
pepper, hot sauce on your grits?
No,
Okay, see?
but I'm not emphatic either. You're like if this were a text exchange, you would have been like all caps with a ton of exclamation marks. I'm like the people who are opposed to sugar on grits. You all are like fanatics.
Hmm.
Y'all
Hmm.
are trying to cancel us.
I'm not trying to cancel you. I'm just saying, I mean, you can eat it however you want to eat it. But I will defend to the end that grits are designed to be eaten with salt, pepper, and a little hot sauce.
Raphael is with me. Raphael says yes. They're better with butter, and you gotta have butter. You can't just put sugar on it.
I don't eat butter, so I don't, that's another
And,
thing.
and he said mild amounts of sugar. Tawanda is there with you, I believe.
No,
Uh, uh,
squash you.
oh, is she? Okay,
Mhm.
there you go. Um, Miss Allen, I know that some people, as 30s and 50 years old, and the children never had cheese in their grits. Oh my God, cheese in your grits! If you're missing that, you are missing something. I told you this is a family fight here.
Uh-huh.
This is a family fight. Rochelle Bilal, the sheriff, is weighing in. She says no sugar in grits.
There you go, Sheriff. There you go.
She's going to go around rounding up all the people who eat sugar in their grits.
There you go. Arrest them. Arrest them.
Lois says no sugar and no hot sauce. So she doesn't agree with either of us.
Wow. I like hot sauce in my grits.
I told you this is look, this is a real thing. This thing. I mean, it's amazing how many folk have a serious opinion. Like some food is just kind of like, I don't really care. I don't like it. I do like it. But man, sugar and grits will start a fight in a restaurant with friends. Tony says no sugar and grits. Lois says, Shaquille says sugar on grits all the way.
Uh,
So, all right, we'll check this out. We're gonna let that comment war continue in the chat. That's much better than some of the things you all fight about in the comment section. Let's hope that's the worst that it gets there today is a disagreement on sugar and grits.
I'm gonna check the YouTube out to see what the folk on YouTube are saying, because I'm sure they've got something to say about this as well. This is not one of those fights that you can actually stay out of. So,
Hey, you know that you're right about that. That YouTube folk who typically are kind of like more quiet and reserved, they're about to come out themselves this morning.
yeah, I'm getting ready to go check it right now.
Like, you better put that sugar down. Daphne says savory grits are the best, no sugar. Well, listen, so Daphne, to your point, if somebody makes really good grits, you actually don't need to put anything on it. Salt and pepper, hot sauce, or sugar. When people make good grits, you don't have to touch them.
Mm.
But the problem is some of y'all can't make grits. Now, that's a whole nother fight.
That's a whole nother story. Now, wait a minute. Let me just say that Gary Thomas on YouTube says no sugar. Thank you, Gary. Appreciate you. I think we need to take account of the salt and pepper team, the salt team, and the sugar team, and figure out like who's winning here. If we had an intern, we could get them to like get this up, but we don't have an intern.
I think sugar is winning. Maybe it's just because I'm biased. But I see a whole lot of folk this morning saying sugar and grits.
Francis James Johnson says no grits for me, period. There you go.
Franny. That's Franny. Come on, Franny. So check this out. Grits. Man, this will start a war.
Nikki O'Tim says no sugar either. Look, I'm winning on YouTube. It's like no sugar team here. I'm appreciating y'all on YouTube. Thank you very much.
Well, the YouTube feed might mysteriously go down today. So Dwayne, speaking of war,
yes.
Yesterday, so first of all, I didn't realize until I saw him that the person who was over the National Guard in D.C. is actually black.
Yes, a black man.
Major General.
Because of D.C.
But now I think we're starting to understand something here.
Mm-hmm.
Let us remember, you have to go back to the pre-Nixon days to find an administration from top to bottom. I mean, like cabinet, appointees, staffers, that was as lily white as the Trump administration.
Right.
You really do. I mean, seriously. Both of the Bushes had many more people of color working with them.
Oh,
Reagan, Nixon, even. I mean, so it's not hyperbole. You have to go back before JFK to find an administration that was so committed to turning the hands of time back and made it look like an episode of Leave It to Beaver or something, right?
Right.
And so, and a part of, I'm bringing that up for a reason. A part of what it felt like always with the Trump administration, and it starts with Donald Trump, is that he was most comfortable around white men. Because I can't tell you how many photographs and signings and things that he did where like it was not even women around. It's like just like a group of all white guys. And I'm like, who does that in 2020?
Donald Trump.
Right. Just don't care. Right. And so when you listen to Trump always, it was always this attitude that, so going back to the voting, so it's, you can't trust Atlanta, you can't trust Philly, you can't trust Detroit, they're cheating. Why? He wouldn't just say it out loud, but of course we know why he believed it, because these are cities that are majority black, or who have black folk have a great say in how the civic government is run. And so you can't trust black people. Now, typically, folk tell me when you're pointing at somebody and always accusing them, you got three fingers and a thumb pointing back at you.
That's right.
And that a lot of that's driven by the way that you kind of conduct yourself. So he has this very narrow, this very cynical opinion and narrow-mindedness about black folk in leadership. Major General William Walker said on yesterday that he had a lot of latitude to move his troops around during Black Lives Matter protests in the summer. That he didn't have to ask anybody. He didn't have to go up the chain, want to deploy more troops to shut stuff down. You just do it. On January the 6th, he said something to the effect, I'm paraphrasing, but like if I had 3 guys working on a traffic stop or a traffic intersection, if I wanted to move the 3 guys from the traffic intersection and put them over here, I would have to go all the way up the chain to the Secretary of the Army.
Yes.
To move 3 people.
Yes.
He said, I can't explain why, but something changed from the summer when the protesters were black and the winter when they were largely white and Trump supporters.
Well, he said actually when the day of, when they were trying to get, they wanted to send the National Guard in, he was prepared. He had 150 he could send in 20 minutes. That he said he was told it was the issue of optics, and that's why they were not deployed, because of optics. And then one of the congressional leaders said, well, was it an issue of optics during the summer? And he said, no. Was it an issue of optics? You know, it went through a series of events and things and asked, was it optics? These were all related to black events that were happening, Black Lives Matter protests. And he said no. But then he said, I was told from my superiors that it was a matter of optics. And that's why they did not want the National Guard out there. Why? They didn't want the National Guard out there holding back these rabid racists and terrorists.
And guess who he said was involved in that conversation? General Walter Pyatt and General Charles Flynn. They're the ones who talked about being concerned about optics. Guess who General Charles Flynn happens to have as a sibling? And I give you one guess, it's not Stone.
It's Michael Flynn, the former, he wasn't defense secretary. He was what, chief of staff?
Yeah. He was defense secretary for all of about 3 days.
Yeah.
Till he blew it, like calling Russia or something like that from the inaugural stage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, something to that effect. Right. So Michael Flynn, disgraced Michael Flynn, convicted Michael Flynn, pardoned Michael Flynn. Michael Flynn, he of Trump orbit, his brother is saying, weighing in on saying to the head of the National Guard, I wouldn't move those troops if I were you, is not a good look. I mean, listen, I know some folk like you probably do and some other people do who have worked in, let's say, very high levels of security when it comes to things related to DC, presidential, you know, on down into like the Capitol Police and others. And a consistent refrain has been, and I've been kind of slow to bring this in because I wanted to hear what this investigation brought out. But this is consistent with kind of the rumor mill that I keep hearing since January 6th, that this did not just happen. No. And that there was right, we know it didn't just happen, but in the sense that there were people on the inside literally holding the door ajar and saying, come on in, y'all. We're going to do this.
I mean, first of all, we need to say that there are 6 Capitol Police that are suspended right now for suspected conspiring with the terrorist, and then there are 30 more that are under investigation at the moment as a result of that, because they're trying to understand what their behaviors were doing that day, including the folk that opened the barricade and welcomed everybody in. So there is definitely a deeper conspiracy afoot here. And I mean, and I don't know if you're going to talk about this or not, but they've actually shut the Capitol down today. Because so we'll probably get back to that after we get back from the break. But
right, because it's March the 4th, and of course, this is quote unquote, I guess, another day for cause for revolution. Let's take a quick break, and we come back. We'll continue this conversation. And I know it when we started it. It doesn't matter what we're going to say now. It's all about sugar and grits on the Facebook Live comment. If you're not following us on Facebook Live, pick up your device and look for WURD Radio on Facebook and put your comments in as well, or on YouTube Live, because we got to hear from you. We'll try to shout you out. It's the Power Hour. We'll be right back.
It's Women of Color Her Story Month 2021 in the city of sisterly affection. This is a time to celebrate the power, legacy, and achievement of Black women. Brought to you by New Voices for Reproductive Justice, based here in Philadelphia. This year's theme is Black Majesty. You are invited to 4 virtual events from February 15th to March 15th. Visit womenofcolorherstory.org and WOC Her Story on Facebook and Twitter for full event details.
I went to check on Pop today. We put our hands up to the glass as if we were touching. But really, the only touching part was that we both tried to smile.
That's no way to say hello or goodbye. COVID-19 vaccines are here, but until enough of us are vaccinated, we'll all still need to help slow the spread. Keep a 6-foot distance, wear a mask, and avoid indoor social gatherings. Learn more about vaccines and slowing the spread at cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent Black media. Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, Philadelphia. Black Talk Media. You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent Black media. Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, Philadelphia. Black Talk Media. You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent Black media.
All right, folks, I think we're back. I'm not sure. I think it was the Flynn brothers. I'm not sure. Welcome back to the Power Hour. Hit the thumbs up on Facebook Live if we are here and you can hear us. I believe we are. We're having a little communication problem with the studio. It's one of the things of COVID-19. You all know how it is. You got to do, everything is remote now, and sometimes you just kind of have these types of issues. And so I believe that we are back on now. And I just want to say, I think Sugar and Grits is winning. Forgive me for being biased, but I do think that Sugar and Grits is winning. And I'm going to take full advantage before Bishop Royster gets back in his chair. Oh, he's back. As I was saying about D.C. Capitol Police and National Guard.
Yeah, right. You still have Sugar and Grits thing.
Who, me? No. I'd moved on. I was absolutely not talking about Sugar and Grits.
You were talking about salt and grits?
So, Tawanda said that, thanks, Tawanda. They said they can hear. But Bishop has gone the way of the salt and pepper contingent. Yeah, somebody said you were gone trying to find some salt and pepper for your grits.
I was trying to get my grits. That's what I was doing.
Yes. Hey, look, sorry. Look, I mean, it's, I got to admit, given COVID-19 and the way that it has wreaked havoc with everybody working remotely, the fact that that the vast majority of the time that we're able to do this show and all the shows all day long, and people are in multiple places with multiple devices and all the things that can go wrong, that we have the measure of success that we do is pretty remarkable.
Absolutely.
I mean, it just absolutely is. And so, shout out to technology because, dude, could you imagine COVID-19 without video streaming?
No. Oh, man, this would have been terrible. This would have been terrible. Wow. Yeah, we would have had a whole, I mean, there's certainly a lot of pressure on people right now and a lot of challenges, mental health, but I mean, the videos and TV and cable and Zoom and other things help people to decompress somewhat. Of course, Zoom can also add to your anxiety, but you can just be on Zoom calls all day like I am. But yeah, no, I couldn't imagine this. I mean, if there was going to be a time for a plague, this is the moment.
FaceTime. I mean, you think about all the other kind of ways we're actually able to see each other.
Google Hangouts, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not all bad. But so yesterday in Washington, D.C., and you're going to hear more of it today, Major General Walker laid this out. But again, let's also talk about the fact that, I mean, there's more things at work, right? So on the one hand, it does appear that there was some kind of coordination. I mean, it's hard to believe that there was not, given the fact that Donald Trump has repeatedly come out where he has stepped over lines, right? Whether it's calling foreign heads of state threatening to withhold resources if they don't investigate Hunter Biden,
right,
or using his influence to try to pressure the Georgia Secretary of State into overturning the election. I mean, who in their right mind would not believe that, given this is his last gasp, he's fired up the crowd. He waited hours before he even denounced, and if you want to call it a denouncement, the attempt to, I don't know, go kill Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and everybody else. It took him a while to kind of find his footing on that one. I don't know. It's very difficult to believe that somehow that there wasn't some kind of communication, given that you've got Trump here, Flynn is there, Flynn's brother is a part of the decision to slow down Major General Walker, according to his testimony yesterday, and that was not what happened in the summer. I don't know, man. And you add to this.
Mike Flynn did reemerge toward the end of this because he was trying to get Trump to do all kinds. He wanted Trump to declare martial law.
Yeah.
And shut down the election basically, and then the casting of the votes. So I mean, yeah, there was all kinds of challenges with this. And Michael Flynn really, I mean, the only reason he was there is because he got pardoned. Because otherwise he would have been a federal criminal, and should not have been participating by any means in anything that was going on. I just, this is just a travesty. And what makes it worse is, so under normal circumstances, when most presidential transitions occur, the previous presidents are quiet for a season. Trump has been out there. He did the CPAC, and then Mike Pence was out there yesterday spouting the same lies and starting this whole process all over again, right?
Who?
They are, what'd you say?
Mike Pence?
Mike Pence was out there yesterday. He was speaking at some event. I have to go back and look it up, but he was actually talking about the election and about how they actually won the election. They didn't lose the election and the whole 9 yards. And, spouting the lies about cheating and everything. It was really tragic. So very painful to watch, because what that says to me is that this period of history of Trumpism, although it might quiet it down for about 30 days, that's about it. So we're going to have to continue to contend with this.
Well, I mean, look, Michael Flynn back in December, I'm looking at one of his old tweets. He said, I know a thing or two about the quote unquote just us department. Mind you, they love taking our stuff, don't they? We created, it's not justice, it's just us.
Yep.
So don't take our stuff. Y'all are you lack creativity. First you take jazz, then you want to take hip hop. Now you want to take our slang. Stop it. Go create your own stuff. Talking about just us. It's not justice. It's just us. I just thought that up this morning. He said, he continued in his tweet. On 6th January, patriots across the nation who can't make it to our nation's capital should respectfully and peacefully protest this fraudulent election at your state's capitals. This is General Flynn, former General Flynn, disgraced General Flynn, convicted Michael Flynn, pardoned Michael Flynn, saying, come to Washington, D.C. or go to your capitals and turn up. Just so happens his brother also had, I think they were trying to do what they believed, they saw in 2000 with George and Jeb, where Jeb was had the key to the election by being the governor of Florida. Whew, man.
So, let me just correct something I said. So Vice President Pence actually came out with an op-ed in the Daily Signal criticizing congressional Democrats for their voter reform push and giving new life to former President Donald Trump's baseless claims that the 2020 election was stolen, despite the fact that he was a central target of the mob that breached the Capitol on January 6th because of his refusal to answer Trump's call to somehow block the Electoral College certification. Pence claimed that the election was marked by insignificant irregularities and numerous instances of officials setting aside election law. He has concerns about the integrity of the election. And this is a piece that he put in the Daily Signal. I'm not sure where the Daily Signal is. This was an article from the Week by Tim O'Donnell, and there's multiple places that are reporting this. I don't understand. So now Trump is. Pence is making me question his sanity. First of all, we never understood why he was there with Trump in the first place. But now I'm like, dude, this guy tried to kill you.
Yeah.
Basically tried to set you up. I'm like, I wonder if he has Stockholm syndrome. Literally, he's been, captured and under the thumb of Trump so long that he has bought into the lies and he actually believes this stuff. Somebody needs to go deprogram him or something.
Yeah, I don't know. It is very strange, to your point. It's very strange what's going on. And but yeah, Arun agrees with you. He's like a domestic abuse survivor. Defends the person to the end. This is the person that keeps putting you in the hospital. And your family is like, why don't you leave?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, they love me. It's like, huh? Love ain't supposed to hurt.
Not like that.
Right. So I don't know. It is extremely troubling, and unfortunately, it's going to be this way for some time. Like COVID-19, this is here to stay. And so it's like the only solution to it, or the cure, is to remain vigilant and to not let your guard down. Yeah. So I wouldn't take that fence around the Capitol down anytime during this presidential administration, personally.
Yeah, we should talk about the fact that today, we mentioned it earlier,
right,
that QAnon and the 3%ers have actually been talking about taking and invading the Capitol again today and reinstalling Trump as president, because March 4th was the original date of the inauguration until 1933. So they're kind of going back in time and trying to use their conspiracy theories. And so there's been attempts in D.C. to see if people are renting rooms or what's going on. And so the acting chief of the Capitol Police, who happens to be a sister, basically was like, look, y'all need to get out of here. And so they were rushing to finish up business yesterday so that they could basically lock down the Capitol and stay safe. And they were telling the senators and the congressional leaders and their staffs to be very careful out there, because of the fact that between the 4th and the 6th is when all the chatter is that there's going to be action at the Capitol. So, I think we'll be watching to see what happens over the next few days. They could be putting things out to also, try to throw people off and things of that nature. But yeah, I think we're in for a season of some real difficulty. Yeah, keep the gates up, although people are complaining about it. And, you need to put it around the White House, too. Make sure everything's covered.
I say give them the same kind of treatment that you gave people after September 11th. You know,
Check every white person, right?
man, put everybody through a metal detector.
Yep.
And I'm serious because listen, you know, that was an attempt to topple our way of life and our government,
Yeah.
right? In the most extreme way. And while 3,000 people may not have died on January the 6th, the attempt was very much in the same spirit. I mean, brother, if they had gotten in there, I mean, if this was, we were literally so absolutely close to this tipping the other direction on that day that, you know, I mean, and to Pence's credit, even though right now, like you said, again, he's operating like he's got Stockholm syndrome, to his credit, in the moment where people needed him the most to have some backbone, he refused to go along with the plan.
Right.
And so, because if he had just simply said the words that Trump wanted, which is, I refuse to certify this, you know, this is a sham, the election was stolen, and just thrown papers literally like physically in the air, that room would have erupted and the country with it, and we'd probably still be fighting right now. I mean, like in the streets with people.
Absolutely.
That's, I mean, that, and I hate to paint.
Civil war. We'd be in a civil war.
Well, right, and I hate to paint that kind of dystopian vision, and I know it seems like, you know, oh God, that's like horrifying, but I mean, that is actually how close we were. And there are some people in this country, not the majority, but there are some people who would rather burn it all down than to allow it to be shared with folk that look like us. I mean, for them, that's the problem with the country now, is like, you know, they took it over. I mean, the image I talked about earlier with Donald Trump largely always surrounded by white men is an image that, you know, some of these folk are most comfortable with. They don't even want white women there. The white women who are there tend to be there to be used in some kind of way, but are not really really a part of this either, this world view that they have. And so, I mean, yeah, look, the country has changed and the demographics have changed. It's not, first of all, it's never been the country that you all keep talking about it was. You just chose not to look.
Right.
You do know there was a time when there was more black folk in America than white folk.
Absolutely.
They were called enslaved people.
That's right. Enslaved Africans.
There were more indigenous people than white people. I mean, where is this imaginary country y'all keep talking about going back to?
I know. I keep. Well, you going back to Europe? That's what I want to know. I want to know.
Oh boy. Meanwhile, back on the ranch.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to take a break. Hopefully we'll have better luck this time. Fingers crossed. This is the Power Hour, and I think we're going to commercial. We'll be right back. I hope.
Okay, Her's new fire potato chips and cheese curls, they are spicy. Whew, they're hottest snacks yet. Hold on. Whew. But you know, it's not just heat. There's some nice sweet and savory stuff going on too. Ooh, there's that heat again. It burns, but it burns so tasty. Ooh, that's hot. Find Her's Fire Snacks at your store today. Whew. Taste the flavor, feel the heat, break out the Her's.
Tune in Sunday, March 7th, 2021 from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. as WURD rebroadcasts the Pew Forum on Race and Debt with Amadi Braxton. That's Sunday, March 7th, 2021 from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM. Tune in to More Than That with Gia Peppers live this Sunday, March 7th at 2 p.m. on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM, or wherever you listen to podcasts. This episode of More Than That is sponsored by KRC Kroger Company, who is committed to becoming the most inclusive company in the world. Everybody in.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
WURD Radio celebrates Women's History Month with the 2021 Level Up Contest. Join us as we embark on a 3-city contest that will highlight Black women-owned businesses who are making a difference in their communities. You can nominate yourself or your favorite Black woman-owned business and enter to win a marketing campaign valued at $5,000. Level Up is a joint production of WURD Radio in Philadelphia, WVON in Chicago, and KJLH in Los Angeles. These 3 Black-owned stations are joining forces to host a historic, interactive, and multimedia contest spotlighting Black women-owned businesses in Philly, Chicago, and Los Angeles. The deadline for submissions is March 15th. Philadelphia finalists will be featured in a special 2-hour live on-air pitch party on March 31st, where the Philadelphia winner will be selected. Go to wordradio.com and click on the Level Up banner for more information or to nominate yourself or a Black woman-owned business you love. The 2021 Level Up contest is sponsored by Comcast, Bank of America, PECO, Keystone First, Thomas Jefferson University, and Jefferson Health.
Good morning. This report sponsored by ZQuil Pure Z's. 95 southbound getting busy from Cottman down through Bridge through construction. Again, Betsy Ross through Girard northbound side. Moving fine. No problems. Vine Expressway through Center City westbound. Just late from the Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. So far, that's about it. Looking at the Schuylkill itself, both ways east and westbound. No major problems. Boulevard Route 1 southbound heading into the Schuylkill Expressway. Pretty good ride there. 42, 55, 295 in New Jersey. Still in good shape overall. You have to be up in 5 hours, 2 hours, and you haven't slept. Vicks ZQuil Pure Z's is a drug-free blend of botanicals with an optimal dose of melatonin that helps you fall asleep naturally awake with no next-day grogginess. ZQuil Pure Z's, naturally superior sleep. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a WURD weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
Plenty of sunshine through the weekend, but unseasonably cool. Today, temperatures starting in the 30s, warm into the mid-40s at lunchtime, but gusty northwesterly winds 25 to 30 miles an hour will make our high of 46 feel like it's in the mid-30s. Colder tonight, down to 24 Friday morning. The same northwesterly winds blowing Friday, a high of 41 will feel like it is in the low 30s. Then a chilly day on Saturday, still a bit breezy, a high of 41 with partly sunny skies. Lots of sunshine, less wind for Sunday, 24 the low, 41 the high. Finally, a bit of a warm-up on Monday, partly sunny, and 50 Monday afternoon. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley with your most accurate forecast. Count on it.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent Black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. This is Dwayne Royster along with Mark Kelly Tyler. We're here Monday through Fridays from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to bring you the latest in news happenings around Philadelphia and, of course, our opinions. And we have plenty of them. Today, we're continuing to engage in things that are happening around D.C., in particular about potential actions taking place at the Capitol Hill by QAnon and the 3 Percenters. We've been talking about what's happened with the testimony of Lieutenant General Walker, the D.C. National Guard, and what happened on the day of January 6th in terms of the D.C. National Guard not being able to get out. We have spent a great deal of time talking about grits this morning. Talking about sugar and butter or salt and pepper and butter. And I just want to say, Gail O'Drick on Facebook said the only thing you put on grits is fish and hot sauce. So that's another one to add to the list right there. I guess somebody else is going to throw shrimp in there too, but you put some shrimp and hot sauce on those grits.
Well, I'm laughing. Nikki O'Tim on YouTube says, didn't we have this debate before? And I don't know if the debate is about sugar and grits or about the Capitol on January 6th.
No, it was about sugar and grits. It was put up a while ago. I saw it when it came up. But this debate like reemerges every 3-4 months. I just want to say that, right?
That's my point. I mean, we've had both of these debates before. We always end up in the same place.
And it's all John P. Key's fault because he got this whole thing started.
He did. Just like, so yesterday it was Major General Walker who started talking about the Capitol Police, the response just on January 6th. And yes, the sugar and grits debate was when it was tamping down. Now we got to put up like security fences around people's homes. He just threw a bomb in for no reason. Now you know what's gonna happen, right? Some major artist, some major like gospel recording artist who likes sugar in their grits is gonna come right back at him, and then we're gonna end up with a versus.
Well, somebody said Anthony Hamilton did a piece about this too. Did a song about this. I don't know that to be fact, but we should try to look that up and see if what Anthony Hamilton did.
Man, that's crazy. Well, listen, all right, boy, we have to remain vigilant. I think that's the point. And in this moment, and I saw Raphael had a good comment that to a degree, I agree with you, Raphael, that what really prevented the absolute takeover of this country was, to some degree, our institutions and the fact that they are, this is a very old democracy, and it doesn't really like, dictators much. But let us still not downplay how close this plan of Trump's came to succeeding. Because, a lot of countries wake up like Myanmar. Now, Myanmar is a much younger democracy.
Right.
But, it's like one minute you're the president, next minute the generals are telling you, no, you're not. You're going to jail, and because we said the election was fraudulent. And to dissenters, you don't like it, we'll knock you in the head with a club and put your butt in jail. And what you going to do about it? And they're like, can they do this? They're like, we just did it.
Right. It's like, it's not even a question of like, can you do it? It's like, it's done.
Right. I mean, what makes that more difficult in a country like this is that, while Trump may have surrounded himself largely with like just white men, that's not the makeup of the United States military.
That's right.
And even there are a lot of white folk who are in the military that didn't go along with that. Now, to be sure, I would imagine that the ways in which the polling reflected their support for Donald Trump, that hardcore 33 to 35% that will never abandon him, I got to believe that it's like that in the military, maybe even slightly higher, kind of just because of people who are drawn into military service right now. So let's give it 40, 45%. But that means there's a whole lot more as well that are not down with that, who would not have stood by. And it would have been some real fighting, ultimately that would have happened. Now, again, thank God we're on the other side of this having hearings. And as scary as it may sound, but it ought to be, it ought to take us back to Ben Franklin's words and the words of George Washington, both of them, regardless of kind of like the problematic issues they may have had some really good, words about democracy. That this country, that this democratic experiment will be as good as you all make it. And so, I mean, that means that we have to be diligent, not only with the extreme moments like this, but then also about the other things, right? The ways in which these state legislatures are trying to roll back voting rights. Right. I mean, how many times do you and I have to say this? That it seems like in this country, Democrats only focus on the presidential election, but it's also about everything else. It's about filling out the census. It's about showing up at these midterm elections. It's about making sure that if you have a state like Pennsylvania that is, I don't understand how the Republicans run the Pennsylvania Senate and state when on registration forms, Democrats out-register Republicans.
Absolutely.
Consistently. I don't understand how that even happens. I mean, I do understand it, but I'm just saying, like, I don't understand how we allow that to happen. And so it takes a lot of work to keep this thing moving, and it is not just about ramping up for the big elections. And I think that is where, in my opinion, we have fallen short time and time again.
Absolutely. It's actually really interesting to watch right now. One of the things that's happened in Pennsylvania, which actually makes me a little nervous, that there's a large percentage of Republicans that have dropped out of the Republican Party. Now, they have not, this was just in the paper the other day, they have not become Democrats, they become independents. because they cannot align themselves. So these are the anti-Trumpers who are members of the Republican Party who recognize that their party is going the way of Trump. They want no parts of it. These are the folk that are really ticked off about the attempts of the Republican Party to censor Pat Toomey, that are really upset about this, kind of almost worship of Donald Trump, and are saying they have conservative values, which Donald Trump really is not a conservative. And they really want to hold on to those values. And so they've left because they can't really fully throw in with the Democrats, but they certainly don't want any parts of the Republicans. And I mean, what's interesting about them is like they will not support a Trump for president, but they would support a Pat Toomey for Senate, right? They would support Republicans at the state House and the state Senate, but they would not necessarily, support, progressive Democrats. And so Trump has claimed that he's not going to split the party, but the party is splitting. And I think we're in for some real challenges in the days ahead. Not only do we have this growing group of independents, but then we also have these folk that are now, they're kind of loose cannons. You're not really sure where they're coming from. So.
Well, I love this comment by Renee. I know we're almost out of time. Renee, thank you for this. She says, it's like almost turning like Stacey Abrams into like it's a thing to do, not a person. She says we have to Stacey Abrams every election for the rest of our lives. Get the young people registered. That's exactly right. What we gonna do? We gonna Stacey Abrams that thing. I mean,
it's gonna become a verb.
Yeah, I mean, we need to like get a T-shirt. Like, what we gonna do? We gonna Stacey Abrams that thing. Yeah. Pennsylvania, what we gonna do? So that repressive laws are coming. You know this, and until the state Supreme Court can knock them down, you're gonna probably go through some elections that it's gonna be more difficult. That doesn't mean impossible. Our people went through far worse than that, right? Churches burned, homes burned, people went missing. And so while we fight in the courts and while we fight in other places and other ways, we also have to do what? Stacey Abrams that thing. And while we're Stacey Abrams in it, last comment on Facebook, Ant Young said, interesting, Washington was smart enough to provide intellectual commentary, but could not see the moral error of being a slave owner. Let me just say, in his will, he said he wanted his enslaved people freed when he died. The real slave owner in that house who had the money was Martha, bruh. George ain't had no money. He was a broke soldier, and he kind of got he married up, as we would say, like many of us. And but when he died, Martha read that will and said, "I wish a blank would." Martha said, "Don't none of y'all get no ideas. You ain't going nowhere." To which Odie Judd and Hercules said, "Peace, we out." And on that note, I'm out.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for checking us out on the Power Hour today. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. to bring you the latest in news, happenings around Philadelphia, and, of course, our opinions. Listen, stay tuned for Wake Up with Word with Solomon Jones. And, listen, go out. Change the damn world, because if you don't, nobody else will. Peace. Thank you, Quason. Thank you, Reverend Tyler. Peace.
I've been walking